Kilo 1 NKX here, K1 NKX, yeah, it spells kinks. Well, finally, today's the day. I believe this is going to be episode 6. We are putting the tower together. That's CJ, and that's Duff, and the gentleman in the green jacket is Johannes. He is our farmhand and partner in crime. Yeah, I forget what the date is. Maybe it's the 21st or something like that. It's a Saturday, about a week after we were going to be doing this. So here we go. We're going to be doing updates throughout the process there. I think this is the top of the pivot frame. I think that's what that is, and I've got to go start dragging my daughter's toolbox out so we can do this, but we'll be careful with it. Okay, back in a bit later. Well, looky here, had to go away on a little tool run real quick, and we got us some welding going on. And we have 17 meters of tower. Is this cool or what? And now we got the hole. We had to get a hole saw. So now we got the holes going in the frame members. That's going to be for the pivot. Looky here. It's good to have friends who know their way around steel. 17 meters. Which, well, let's just figure that out real quick. Where's my calculator? Calculator. Meters. 17. I don't know if you can see that or not. 55.77 feet. Almost a 56-foot tower. Ye freaking ha. My ZS6BKW antenna is going to resonate very nicely, even though we're not a full halfway for 40 meters. It's still going to be very, very nice. Look at that. Look at that. And of course, this will be the pivot frame. That's going to be the top pivot, and we'll have 1 or 2 holes down here towards the bottom to pin it so it doesn't. There'll also be some metal across so it doesn't over rotate when we crank it up. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. Back later. Alright, now we got the base frame coming together. We've got the holes cut in both square tube, and we have bushings that are gonna be welded into place pretty soon. Got that coming along. It's gonna be flush on the outside with a gap on the inside to give us room to pivot the mast. And that hole, there's going to be a corresponding hole here in the tower, somewhere up in this neighborhood here. It's going to be just maybe an inch or 2 off of the slab at the bottom. But there we go. Oh, looks like number 2's coming up. Gonna have to file that down a little bit so the thing will fit through the hole, but other than that, we got her going on. Back in a bit. Well, there's the top section welded. Now, they're welding the bottom 2 sections right now, but what they did was they cut slots all the way around, and they put a 1/2 meter of each smaller pipe went a 1/2 meter in, and then they welded all the way around, and then they plug welded in the slots. So this bad boy ain't gonna move. And we got welding going on here, and as you can see, he's plug welding the slots there. Probably washing the whole camera out. But yeah, just a bit more than 55 3/4 feet tall. Too stinking cool. Alright. Alright, now we are welding the bushing into place. That's going to be the pivot point for the pivot frame. This one's got to be fitted in, but it's going to be basically flush on the outside, and on the inside there's a little bit sticking out. There it is right there. Okay, welding flash. There, that's enough. Actually, the camera picked it up okay. Alright, so now the tower for Evermore has a front and a back. This is the back side. Let's see if I can get you down here. We're going to mount a pulley, and the wheel can come off. We're going to mount that here, and we're going to run the cable through this back to the winch, and this will be the snatch block. And yes, the pulley comes off so we can fit all that through. We just got the holes drilled up on here for the sides. We're going to put a bushing in there, and that is going to coincide with this bushing here on the frame. So everything that has all the force for the pivoting will be bushed and should be able to move quite freely. Right now we're still building standoff blocks on the pivot frame for because you have to have blocks to stop the tower from over rotating when you crank it up. So there'll be a block on the front of the frame and a block on the bottom of the back side of the frame that will hold the tower in place after it's jacked up. And then of course somewhere down here there's going to be at least one more set of holes drilled, and that's going to be to pin the tower into place once it's upright. Alrighty, we're coming right along. Later. Now we're fitting the frame to the tower, and right now the back stopper block, if you will, is being tacked and welded into place. And I'm not sure what that one's for, probably just to keep the correct distance apart for the frame. Oop. But anyway, from that, can we see it? Where is it? Oh sure, we got a spot of sun from this line all the way down. That's 1 meter. That's going to be in cement, and this is about 4 inches from the top of the cement to the bottom of the tower. This will be the back retaining block to prevent over rotation when we crank it up. There'll be another one put on the bottom side on the front up here near the top. I'm coming along. Later. Alright, we put these cross braces on that are going to do two things. It maintains the distance at the bottom of the pivot frame, and it also acts as a little reinforcing bar, and it's going to keep the pivot frame from pivoting in the cement and working itself loose. Now the stopper blocks are being marked and getting ready to cut them flush with the sides. We're getting there. We almost got us a frame done. The tower is pretty much done. Just a little bit of left to do. The tower still needs. We're actually going to take some of this chain, and instead of cutting the loops and spot welding them in, which could potentially burn hole and weaken the mast, we're going to actually just take a length of chain, wrap it around the post. Why am I getting so much sun? We're going to wrap it around the mast and then weld that into place, and then we can put our guy ropes on that way, because this is 2/3 of the way up, and that's just a good place to put a guy rope. We could go up a little bit higher if we need to, but we are getting there. We will have this over in the yard at least. We won't be standing it up today because the cement has to set. But we'll have it over in the yard, and probably next weekend. Today is Saturday. Probably next weekend we'll be able to stand this puppy up. The grand reveal. Back in a bit. Well, the bulk of our machining and figuring and ciphering is done. This is a very solid plate for the winch. The winch is bolted on. We haven't tightened it yet. And we still got a little bit left to do, but we're almost there. Right now, CJ's welding on the plate that's going to take the first pulley that's going to go through there out to the base of the antenna, loop around this pulley. We're going to use that as a snatch block, and then come back up and clip it on somewhere. I forgot where exactly, but this hook is actually going to get hooked on something down here on the return leg, which will give us a 2-to-1 advantage with the winch. 3,000 pound winch, we're going to need every bit of that 2-to-1 advantage, because the estimated weight on lifting this tower is about 1 3/4 tons. The further above vertical we can get the tip, the better off we're going to be. And now CJ's got a piece of scrap metal out. We're going to put some cross braces on the bottom there. And of course this is all below the cement. Back in a bit. We have a pivot base for the tower. Again, everything from, where am I? Everything from here down is below grade. It'll be in cement. We have the pulley to pick up the cable, and yes, the wheel comes out so we can run the cables through. And this will be the pivot point, and we do have a bar that goes through here to lock that into place, and we have a heavy pin. And all the welding, all the work is done. All we do is carry this beast over to the yard. But yeah, that's part of the, that's going to be a snatch block for the winch. Pivot bushing, and we just had the cleverest idea earlier. Instead of trying to put eye bolts through or anything like that, we just welded a length of chain onto it, and then we're at the 2/3 mark. And get you a little bit closer, and that's where we'll run guy ropes or guy lines through, and we'll be all set. The only thing left to do is clean this thing up and get it painted and rust proofed at least. And the cross arm needs to be put on. It's got to buy a U-bolt for that. That'll be done during the week, and by next weekend the concrete should be set, which we'll probably cast tomorrow. And then we'll have the big tower raising and antenna installation. Alrighty. Probably the next time you see anything, it'll be 4 or 5 of us guys carrying this beastie out to the yard. Back in a bit.
Now you must all go through the gate, eh? Yeah. Corrie, you put it down. Yeah, no, so it's right. Put it down. Mind this thing. Mind.
Johannes, hangen nog, weet je wel.
Je moet optellen, Johannes. Wacht, stop. Wow! Zie je het opgelopen?
Base to the hole. Yep. Or, well, in the yard. Beautiful. This is good. Done. Hoorah! It's a 5-man power antenna tower. And we're done. That's it. Thanks for watching. Kilo 1, November Kilo X-ray, clear.